Okay, now we have the parallel houses, the perpendicular houses. This is a totally different thing. You want number 7 or number 13? When your consciousness gets pulled up into perpendicular houses, it's immediately going to disrupt the balance of the top. It will challenge the nature of the balance. It'll push, it'll cause a wobble because the integrity won't remain straight. It'll be pushing one side and another. These two sides are running into each other like parallel. But if the focus is on the 1st and the 12th, who I am and what I project, I have this happen to me, so I can't do this. I can get so obsessed with who I am and who I'm not, what I can't project, that becomes so predominant, it affects and prevents any friendship, prevents any accomplishment, it blocks any relationship where I've been done in. So we get lost in ourself. Of course, it's spinning around, it's going into a relationship, it's totally tied with it. But we're impaired, and it's throwing us up, it's creating a big wobble in this top. So all the perpendicular houses add up to 13. So it's funny, 7 and 13, lucky, unlucky numbers. To me, 13 is not necessarily an unlucky number, but just in this, it's just a part of the symbolism that reinforces this. I just put it there as an add-on. Really, if you're focused on your identity too much, of course, you're not going to be sensitive. You're putting everything out and you're not going to be sensitive to what's coming. If you're putting every negative out, you're certainly not going to attract anybody. If you're putting every positive out, you can be over-dominating anybody else. How do you find the balance? How much to project, how much to listen? So when it's too far between 1st house identity, 12th house fears or phobias or worries or doubts, I have a stronger 12th house. I normally assume everyone else is more together than me. It was more established than me. I had an alternative. I grew up poor, didn't fit in. And I have these conflicts that end up developing spiritual understandings or spiritual disciplines to determine what friends and what people have. But there's a lot of places where, I mean, I've worked 50 years being an astrologer, and I can walk out the door and people say, "You do what? That's the work of the devil. What are you doing?" Like within a certain dream, people say, "Oh, wow, yeah, you're Robin, great." But most places it's, "You do what?" Never even heard of it. So you're trying, but this is an imbalance. It wobbles the chart. You can see these when these concerns are there. Same thing with the 2nd and 11th. Well, we were looking at the 8th and the 11th, the joint resources and the shared friends. That's a parallel area that works very well, where you're both putting together, you both like your friends, you're both putting in for social events and functions. That works really good. Some people are just gifted there. They got that together. But when you take your personal resources to buy your friends, you're using your money to impress your friends, your resources to impress your friends. It's not about other people. It's not, you're just projecting to have an effect on others. I got to have designer clothes. I got to do this. I'm into this. I'm doing this. I'm going to have friends around us. I'm going to go to the drum circle. I'm going to go to meditation. I'm going to go to these groups. I got to go to here. I got to go play bridge. Or I got to go, play some games. These resources, how you use your resources and your talents, and putting out to friends. If you're only thinking of your resources and what friends you can affect and who you can get to come or who you're trying to reach, you're only putting out, you're going to be blind to the setting half. You're projecting too much, and in projecting so much in the importance of the friends of the group, you're empowering the group, but you're disempowering anybody that gets close to you as a relationship. Whew. I got 2nd house, I got 11th house, this is strong perpendicular reality for me. I have the Sun and Neptune in the 2nd and the Moon in the 11th. But I would do things for astrology groups and for groups. I'd be burning for a cause more than I would be trying to say, well, who are we going to go see or what are we going to do? Usually I expect my wife to align to my friends and go along with it, not so much the other way. Well, that's my impairedness, but I learn lessons from that. But this creates an imbalance. It's not spinning harmoniously. It puts too much on this side, not too much on the responding side. It's not working on maintaining the spin. It's pushing, it's your projection out to get yourself together and what you're going to get together to use of your talents and resources and put it to your identity, and how it fits into your friends and groups, whether it fits into how you accomplish, how you adjust it, what you do, and that will determine the status you have to try and get status. So that's a projective focus. But it's hard for the rest of the system to maintain it. It can for a while, not forever. But people are born with these imbalances, and you have to come to terms how come things happen like, and you have to work sometimes to counter the amounts, or learn to refine it properly so it's not just doing that. To get all the areas of your houses working well, even the areas where you don't have planets. Now, the 3rd and the 10th is probably closest to the top, so it's probably a little easier to maintain this wobble. It's not as wobbled as the 1st to the 12th or the 2nd to the 11th. But your common sense, where you're coming from, how you express yourself, how you can communicate, your ability to express yourself, communicate, to write, to teach, to express where you're coming from. That's going out. And if it's directed to the career, who you need to speak to and what you have to do and what you have to accomplish, that can be a very powerful combination, 3rd house to 10th. However, all the attention it takes to do what's necessary to communicate for a job and for career, it puts a challenge between your inner integrity and your outer social integrity, your honor and your personal depth, your security. What can you say? Well, I want to say this. Oh, I can't say that out there. Or how do I think? How do I have to think to say to get the effect out there? How do I put the package together to get? How do I put the blog that's going to get me go viral, or put the video if it goes viral rather than put something nobody sees? You know, like, how do I accomplish that? This is thinking about status, thinking about accomplishment, thinking about communicating about dad, about authority. How do I get to authority? If you're in a family where you're always put down, you only get authority if you get out of the family. Well, in a way, that's a common sense. I got out of the family. I got some authority, but I hadn't really learned how to share that well. So thinking about leadership, thinking about honor, thinking about respect, your common sense about where you're coming from, how it's different, you can easily justify to yourself because based on the position you have, what you need to do. Or you can easily, based on the position you have, allow it to determine how you have to think. So as soon as those demands come up, more than is ethical or more than is, and it starts affecting other people in a negative way, you're competing with other people too strongly, you're too strategic, other people are going to avoid you or start going against you. So even this side will be upset the balance of the spinning top, although it's closer to the center. So this is the same idea with if you took brothers and sisters to career, to status. But it's really learning, expressing yourself to authority. How much are you going to think you're going to express to authority? Think, are you just going to be impulsive? Who's going to affect you? Are you going to plan it? There's 12 different attitudes you're going to have from your IC going to express yourself. One is coming from your IC to express your security, express your motivation. The other is adjusting your position to fit to what's demanded of you out in the world, what's needed to pull something off. And those two are not such a comfortable partnership. They tend to take all your energy in life and put it to the one side rather than the reactive side, but will spin into the other half. And as it does, it's going to spin as an inadequacy or as an imbalance. So in that case, when it's on this, when it's shifting, you're like a gyroscope can be on its side, it can still be spinning, but it's on its side. And some people can maintain a balance like that for a while. You can be born with a chart that pretty much that's your balance that you go, and that's normal for you. But it's still wobbly. It's normal for you, but it's not necessarily as centered as some. So being uprighteous and centered and integrated, well, that's the upright gyroscope. Here's one that's just a little slanted, which more people probably are. So when you go through the other side, the first half when you're doing perpendicular, it's all about your projection, how your projection is becoming so accentuated, it's taking away from your reaction to other people. So you're pushing, everyone else is going to have to react to you. Imbalanced. So when you have a setting, the fourth, your security, your personal security, and your principles. Wow, I got a job. I'm going to church. I'm being in the church once a week. I go to pray at church. I'm living righteously. So I should be able to feel secure about whatever. I should justify that I have a nice home and whatever, and I can afford to go to church and support these causes and be aligned properly on living righteously. Oh. But you can feel secure and you can self-justify actions. Not all action, like this is the response to what's right or wrong. But if you're with someone, this is the tendency to let other people, it's on the setting side, it's more about your reaction to people, what's right, what's wrong, and what's secure. This challenge between principles and security. What happens when you run into something wrong out in the world? Are you personally secure enough to confront the outside even though it may cost you? If you see a friend, you're a married couple, and you see one of your friends having an affair from being with someone in a restaurant, do you what's the expression, shit disturbed? Do you disturb it? Do you call the other person and say, I see your husband with a woman? Or do you keep quiet and leave it to themselves? Those are principles of integrity. But if you don't say anything, you've lost the partner as a friend. If you do say something, they're both going to be, you've lost the other person's. Either way, you're damned if you do, damned if you. What are you prepared to live with? Most people just leave it alone and you've lost those friends. Or go along with it if you're still getting things from it. But this is living your ethics, principles. It isn't based on what it projects, it's based on how you're reacting and how you can live with your reactions. In the world these days, there's wars going on, there's poverty going on, there's people that's trying to escape from gangs and violence and wars, and they're just taking their families with nothing and trying to go to immigrate to another country. And of course, the established Christian countries are saying, we can't be out. This is our home, this is our religion, they're not the same religion. How can we let them in? How can we do this? And this huge lack of integrity, lack of depth is coming in this fourth, ninth house way. No one's responding properly. And they're gathering together to self-justify. Well, if everybody's doing it, why should I be different? I'm just pointing out little things, but I'm just pointing out things that are coming up to my mind now to relate around this. But this is home security, your integrity, your feelings of taking things and taking it personally. Does it bother you if someone dies unjustly, or someone's arrested unjustly, or somebody's picked on at work, or somebody's picked on at school, if there's bullies, if there's teachers, if there's abuse in the church? Does it bother you enough to make it different for how you live? And to what degree should you make it different? Should you quit going to church because there's been thousands of pedophile priests, but there's been hundreds of thousands of priests that have not been? Whoa, what do you do? These puzzles. There are things to talk what you talk about, there's things to put energy to see how other people are, but you're really trying to form a group consensus of what should be done and to see how you're aligned with it. The difficulty is a lot of things get done out in the name of politics and power that aren't worthy of being aligned with, that are distorted. And then how do you live with it if you're on the wrong team? Or if there's abuse in your family, how do you say it? How do you face it? If your partner's drunk, you tell people you're working around it. You know, you shouldn't be there. You have a partner who's into drugs or is doing something wrong, and you don't want to say anything. You're trying to maintain appearances. You're trying to cover it up, but they're like, there's your understanding. There's your security. Wow, you can see how it's all based on the setting side. That setting side is so much that it'll diminish how much you want to project because you're trying to keep people away from seeing too much. That's an imbalance on the relationship side, which will totally spin around to affect your projection. The rising side. It's still an imbalance. It still wobbles the axis.